You have to have this survival checklist. Now, rarely will you find folks of any stripe who say you need to do some things before you can engage marketing or whatever the services are trying to say, but there are some things that need to be done before you engage in this marketing turnaround from cash burn to profit center. Okay? The first is you've got to make sure your financials are in order. There's a stat that 56% of businesses do not use their financial statements to make business decisions. They're checking the box off. I did my financials, I can turn in my account, and I can run my taxes. You have to have your financials in order, okay? There are really two numbers that you have to pull out of your financials before you're able to execute this marketing turnaround of cash burn and profit center. Okay, we simplified it. There's only two. There's not multiple worksheets for you to deal with this morning. Those two numbers are, what is the lifetime value of your customer, and what is your cost of customer acquisition? And you know you're doing the right thing when the lifetime value of the customer is going up and the cost of acquiring them is going down. We try to simplify this as much as possible. Not that you can't handle it, but we want to move on quickly to the tactical and practical. But we feel like this is an important disclaimer ahead of time. A lot of folks do not have their financials in order. So when we talk about creating a profit center, how do you know? Because if your lifetime value of a customer is $10 and it's costing you $12 to acquire them, you're going to repeat it into bankruptcy. And so what we suggest is that you have your financials in order to the point where, as an owner, as the person in charge of the marketing effort, or whatever your role is this morning, that you have a very simple 4-tab spreadsheet. That 4-tab spreadsheet starts off with marketing costs and campaigns. And that flows into sales conversion based off the leads that the marketing tab created. And that flows into a cost of fulfillment. And that flows into your P&L. So that you create at least a framework for understanding your marketing machine that says you put $1 in this in the machine, how many do you get out the other? Without that, we're continuing to guess. Without that, we're continuing to throw things against the wall because we read a witty blog post. And that's not business, that's gambling. The other thing you have to do, if you haven't already, quite frankly, is you have to fire non-essentials. This is part of stabilizing the patient. Okay? Now, you often hear the lament of, we laid off sales, we laid off marketing. And people go, oh, that doesn't make sense, you shouldn't do that. Well, sometimes it does. But what we're suggesting to you is a framework for knowing who are the essentials and who are the non-essentials, and letting that drive who you clean out. Okay? I would suggest that businesses have to do 3 things. They have to create revenue, they have to get value out of cost centers, and they have to create the value, create increased valuation in the business. Every person in the organization has to be scored according to those 3 things. And who becomes the non-essentials? Those with the lowest scores. That's a harsh reality, but it's part of stabilizing the financial life of the company before you start a radical change in the marketing operation. Okay? So as you see, we haven't talked about mind share yet. We haven't talked about impressions or whatever other kind of goofy things that marketing people tend to lead off with. We think that you have to do some of this first. Okay? And then while you're executing this turnaround, don't look like you're executing a turnaround. Okay? Refer to current events, not past events in your copy. Make sure your copyright at the bottom of your website doesn't say 2008 on it anymore. Small things like that. Make sure you don't look like you're going through a patch.